Hey everybody, welcome back on Verse Podcast. Danny here. We're back talking more manga. Today we're looking at Grashros, a little manga here, 42 chapters. Started off interesting, I will have to say. I was really looking forward to checking this out after the first chapter. The first chapter is pretty strong, but after that, I gotta say, it just kind of drops for me. It is during the Stone Age. Ice Age kind of period where we got saber-toothed tigers, we got mammoths, and mammoths are called Grash, right? So hence the title of this manga, Grashros, which means Grash Killer, and that's pretty much the main focus here. This is, said 30,000 years ago. It's the story of the Cro-Magnon people, and our main character is Aku. He is a child born on a blood moon. Now, the village chief said he would, be the calamity of this clan, and we must execute him now, right? Our ancestors have warned us about this. But, of course, his father, who is one of the best hunters in this clan, says, no, forget all that noise, man. My son can overcome destiny, basically, is what the premise is here. And so he says to go and kill a rhino. I forget what they're called. I think they're called a Zura or something. Yeah, go kill this rhino, basically. That's a problem for our people here and there. If you can kill that, then it will overcome, the destiny your child would have. Then the father is the first person we see, right? He's the main focus of the story, beloved by everybody in the village. He's got a wife. It turns out he's actually an outsider who joined the clan, and it's been a great pleasure to have him since. Once he goes to defeat this rhino, his hand gets stabbed, stops the horn with his hand, his eye gets cut, but he kills the beast, brings it to the village, and the art is just stunning here. I love the art. It really complements the time period that we're in for this manga, I think. Very expressive in the character face. The details are pretty great. Cut to the second chapter, we see Akka, who is the child, and Akka, I believe, actually translates to Blood Moon with the language they're using here. And the rhino's called Volga. I was a little close. So yeah, I was really getting some Vinland Saga vibes off of this at first, because okay, we're seeing father of our main character be pretty badass, and then we see the kid who's pretty innocent. But is still curious about things in the world, this and that. One day he's out just playing around, practicing hunting. He wanted to challenge this boar, that way he could prove himself so he could actually hang out with the other kids and go hunt, because his family's actually outcasted because they refused to listen to the ancestors and the elder about killing the child. And it's like, oh, yeah, your father can't hunt anymore, and your mother's legs aren't good right now, right, because of childbirth. So a lot of things going on. They live in the outskirts. He can't make friends because they all make fun of him. He sees the current new group of these young kids who are pretty good at hunting. They stumble upon a woolly mammoth, right? They've never seen a mammoth before, and they get their shit wrecked. And, the clan's trying to figure out what's going on. And then the mammoth comes to the village for revenge after being hurt. And it turns out it was just a baby mammoth. Right, here comes the parent, and it's just the scale of how they're drawn is just really intense, to complement with the artwork, and you could really feel the intimidation coming from these animals. The threat to these people is so real. It was great stuff, and then it ends off, everybody's just getting annihilated, and then we're left with Akka with his friend Ipun from the village. They're the last ones left. Now they have to figure out what to do with life, and they meet other kids with the same situation, and then, events happen, and then we get a time skip. And for me, that's pretty much it, man. Everything else, it starts going downhill. It was getting real interesting. The art was changing. Generic digital manga art, and if you want to look up some examples, right, just look at the later chapters for this series, and then go look at something like Death Tube. You could feel the similarities in choice for the art styles, right? The eyes get real anime, same thing with the hair, and it just doesn't have that same feel the first chapter gave us, sadly. Our main character Akka takes a turn. He was a kind, gentle kid. Start to accept that I'm a cursed child, so my only goal in mind is to kill the Grash, these mammoths, and avenge my father, my mother, my clan's people, all that stuff, right? So that's his main objective. Cool premise. It's not often you see manga set in this time period, right? I think that was a good choice for this. Characters were pretty interesting. I do like the art. Even the art, when it starts to change, it gets like pretty generic. It still had some charm to it, right? But at certain points, it's only 47 chapters, and it just feels like it probably got canceled. It's a little bit over a year of serialization in a weekly manga magazine. So I don't know. It was just changing pace and tone so much that I wasn't really feeling it. I mean, it was cool that we got to a certain point where we saw different clans and then how they interact. There was one cool one, as ridiculous as it is like, oh, hey, these guys are the hip hop clan, like they speak in hip hop and all that. And that's all, they're all about rap and stuff. And then, me, a big hip hop fan. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's funny. My main problem is Akka, the character, right? We get defining moments for his character, right? Very traumatic experiences, events, things that he did himself. He accepts for what's happened, who he is, and he knows what he has to do. And that's why when we see him again after this, maybe 5-year time skip, we definitely see a clear vision of what this character is supposed to be. And then when we get to the last chapter, it's a total 180. It makes no sense at all. It does the ending I can appreciate a little bit just because of what they were trying to do. But still, like, his character was just thrown out entirely. They're just like, oh, maybe this is too much for the average manga fan. How about we just get back in line and do the generic stuff people will just read? That upset me, because as unique as the premise is and the timeline this is, you should really focus on that, because it does get really anime pretty fast. You get like DBZ levels of strength here. Akka wrestles with a Vogra, a rhino. And then we're just, showing all these characters so fast, but we don't really get a lot out of them. It just, I don't know. The pacing's all over the place for what they want to do. There's even like a montage for something that Akka himself wouldn't even do, right? There's a point in the chapter where one of the chapters he says, don't touch me. I don't like being touched, because he's afraid of what would happen if people interact with him, because he's a cursed child. He's just going to ruin their lives, right? Cut to maybe 5 chapters later, we see him doing a total 180 in character personality, which was very disappointing. He just became typical Natsu Luffy type of character when he was more feeling like Thorfinn and Guts. Yeah, very disheartening to see the downfall of this manga. As much as interesting as the premise was, that's as far as it goes. I mean, there was some interesting stuff in the first half, but then once we got to the second half, it's like, you see this all the time, even though like it's all written differently, it just feels the same tonally, and that's very unfortunate. And plus, again, because it's only 47 chapters and they try to do a lot, just doesn't work out. And then the last fight we see here in the manga is so anime, it doesn't make sense to what we've already been shown for this manga. To recommend it, I mean, if you have nothing else to do, it's not that long of a read, thankfully. I like the art a lot, for sure. Most of the time it does feel like I've already seen it before, like this new age of digital manga artists. It feels like they all have a common ground, which kind of sucks. I mean, if I look, to me, it's the eyes, right? The eyes really make a character. So that every eye is always distinct in manga. Look at like Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, and here in Grashros, the final art, I just can't help but look at it and I'm like, yeah, I've seen this, the way these faces have been drawn before. It's sad to say that because the first chapter just looks so great. It's definitely this guy's art style. Just seeing the last chapters, not even that, like chapter 28, it's already taken a form of just, get back in line. Like, this is how a generic manga should be type of deal. So that kind of sucks. But then there's like unnecessary humor in here. Interesting stuff that we explored gets finished very early on, that we don't get to see. Yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to say about Grashros. Got me really invested, but left me just, it's just something that has no substance, really. So thanks for listening. And as always, if you have any questions, or comments, did you guys enjoy this? I would love to hear your opinion on it. So go ahead and email us at unversepodcast@gmail.com. And you could follow us anywhere on social media at unversepodcast, let you know when the latest episodes drop. So again, guys, thanks for sticking by. Catch you on the next episode.